All right. So, how about this about being related to Dick Cheney? How do you did you know that? Was it a surprise?
You know, we'd kept it hidden. Mm-hmm. He's the
Both of you?
he's the black sheep in the family. You know, we're just trying to.
Now, y'all ever go hunting together or anything like that, or no?
Family hunting parties,
No?
I bow out. Yeah.
No reunions or anything like that.
Not yet. But I may show up. Who knows?
Really, at a family reunion?
Next time.
But I mean, how did y'all? If it's that far back, how would you cross-reference a family member to find that out?
You know, I guess there are these genealogists. They do genealogies on various people, and some genealogist has done one on me. And you know, you always hope that you've got Cleopatra or something.
Right.
Then it turns out you've got some thief or something.
Yeah, yeah.
in your
You
family.
never know. Sometimes
never
it's
know.
best not to know.
It is.
Sometimes it's best
Exactly.
not. All right, and so maybe you could be him for Halloween, Dick Cheney.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I saw some of those costumes, by the way. You looked sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you make a good Elvis. I
Yeah.
like the sideburns especially.
Thank you. Well, those were real, and I just shave them for the Daily Show. But what do people want to? I think first of all, you're charming, and I think people are drawn to you, and you have a lot of charisma. And politics, I really don't understand a lot about politics. I'll try to ask you some questions, and I think we have people at home and in the audience that have questions. But what can you tell people about the man, not the politician, but who you are as a man?
Well, I come from a diverse background. Right? My mother was from Kansas, a white woman from Kansas. My father was from Kenya. They met at the University of Hawaii, which is where I spent a lot of my youth. And then I lived in Southeast Asia for some time. And I've got a half-sister who's half Indonesian. And so I've got family all from around the world. And that, I think, is a big part of me, because there are pieces of me, including Dick Cheney, in my family tree, and hopefully that's one of the talents I bring to politics, is getting people to recognize themselves in each other and work together. My father left when I was very young, so I grew up without a dad, which means that I think I'm real sympathetic to a lot of kids who grow up with difficult situations when they're growing up. And that probably is part of what got me into public service. I worked as a community organizer first. That's how I got involved in this. I went to Chicago because there were steel plants that had closed and thousands of people had been laid off, and there was a little organization there. They hired me, and I worked for 3 years helping to set up job training programs for the unemployed and after-school programs for youth. So I've been motivated, I think, maybe because I feel like I've been an underdog. I'm not likely to be here. There aren't that many presidential candidates named Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So I end up being motivated to fight for other folks who might be underdogs.
Well, you've certainly accomplished a lot. I mean, the fact that do you even pay attention to the pressure that what I just said is if you would be the first African American president? I mean, do you think about that, or is that not an issue?
Just being the president, that's pressure enough.
Yeah.
And so I spend most of my time just thinking about how can I communicate a message of change, because I think people are really frustrated with the gridlock and the pettiness of politics, and part of the reason why you may not pay attention to politics a lot is sometimes it's depressing because it doesn't seem like we get a lot of stuff done.
Right.
And so, what I'm trying to do is during this campaign to figure out how can we bring people together around issues like healthcare, global warming, and giving a better education for our kids, and how can we overcome some of the special interests and the lobbyists that tend to dominate our politics.
And what about, you're mainly, it's health, what about, you've said Iraq, you want to try to pull out of there?
Well, I was opposed to Iraq from the start. I thought it was a bad idea. So back in 2002, I was a candidate for the United States Senate, and I said, this is going to lose our focus from Afghanistan. We're going to have a situation where we're going to be bogged down for a long time. It's going to alienate countries around the world, and it's not necessary because the threat Saddam Hussein posed wasn't imminent. Now, we're there now. We don't have any great options. We got bad options and worse options. But I do think one of the things I want to do as the next president is repair the damage that's been done around the world. And that means a president who I think can listen and can communicate with a lot of different kinds of people. And that's where having lived overseas, I think, is an advantage in trying to communicate to the world that America wants to lead, but by example and by deed, and because you know, we have values that are universal.
And if you win the primary, would you consider, and I asked Hillary this when she was on the show, would you consider Hillary as your running mate for vice president?
You know, I am just thinking right now about how I get through the primary. But you know, Hillary Clinton is a terrifically accomplished woman, and you know, she is going to be, I think, not only a formidable candidate during the primary, but she's just a terrific public servant. So right now, my job is just to make sure that I get through this primary, get the nomination, and then and also to make sure that you know, my wife and kids don't forget who I am during the process.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you have the energy to do what you do every single day. You got to really want that job bad, because that's a lot of work, and then you get there and it's just tons of pressure. But
it's like being the host of Ellen.
Almost. It's almost that kind of pressure. Yeah. It's. I mean.
How do you handle it?
I don't know. And how do you feel about gay? Speaking of me, how do you feel about gay marriage? Would you legalize gay marriage?
You know, what I would do is immediately set up a civil union that is equal in federal rights, so that all the states, all the rights that are conferred by the state are the same for gays and lesbians, same-sex couples, as for any other couple. In terms of marriage, what I would do is I would say that each religious denomination can make up their own decisions. Now, my denomination, United Church of Christ, we recognize same-sex marriages, and I think the other denominations may feel differently about it. But the state has to make sure that everybody's rights are equal.
Right.
And right now, we've got over 1,200 benefits that married people get that people who have civil unions that are recognized by their own states don't get. And that's just, it's not right, and it's not fair.
It's not right.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Exactly.
But I'm glad you recognize that.
I do.
It's good to know.